But you got people that look normal, just like you and me, who do not want to be on this planet anymore, do not want to live this life anymore. You got so many people who say to themselves, and I see it in my comments, and I've even had those thoughts that, man, if I go to sleep and don't wake up, I'm good. Like if I go to sleep, and it's not people that's suicidal, it's not people who need to be in mental hospital. It's people who just see this life for what it is. This is like, it's almost like Earth is a prison. It's a dual reality. It's the craziest, most horrific dual reality, because on one end of the spectrum, you'll see people living in peace. But if you look in places like Gaza and other places around the world like Africa, where women are having their breasts cut off and their clitoris is cut off, this is a very crazy world that we live in. And there are many people, man, that say, if I had to re-up and re-sign up for this world, I would never come back to this world. Like, this is not a world that you can even bring up your kids up in. If you don't have any kids right now, let me give you some advice. Do not have any kids in this world. One girl told me yesterday, she said in my comments, she said, most of us have kids for us, but we don't think about the kids. And that hit me hard, because when you're thinking about having kids in this day and age, and you want to bring them up in this crazy world, in this horrific world, where people are barely surviving and being murdered and killed all day. No, I don't want to bring another kid up in this world. I don't want anybody to have to suffer the stuff that I had to go through in this world. And I'm sure you don't either. Again, you got people all over the planet, man, who cannot wait for their time to come. They go to work every day, take care of their families, but they say to themselves, if I go to sleep tonight and don't wake up, I am good. And you got a lot of folks, man, who say to themselves, the only reason I'm still here is because of my kids or my grandkids, or even people have said my dog, but I don't want to be here anymore. This is a very difficult world to be in, and this is a conversation that people don't like to have, because I'm a person that's going to talk real talk. I'm never going to I'm never going to unalive myself. But at times I wish that, hey, if there was an exit plan for this planet, I'd be in it. If they ever said that if I ever left here and they gave me the opportunity to come back, hell to the no. I'm not coming back here, because this place is sure hell.
Believe it or not, a lot of people feel this way. Believe it or not, a lot of people are just mentally strained. They're mentally drained. They don't know which way to turn. This is how they view the world. They view the world like, listen, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Listen, I see it especially with the younger generation. Even where I work at, there's a lot of younger guys who joke about, self-deletion, right? I've come across a lot of younger guys who joke about, leaving this world, not wanting to do this, right? Being depressed, just in a dark, mental state. This is the state that we're in, especially in America, man, right? Most of us are just working to live, right? Living to work, right? Whichever way you want to call it. We're not enjoying life, right? Every single time we get paid, the paycheck goes straight out the door, right? And then that's even if you're keeping up with the bills, you still only got a little change left, right? If all of your money isn't going to the bills, listen, we live in a very dark and sinister world. And on top of that, you got the politic riff-raff back and forth. You got the violence, you got wars, listen, this is just life, right? I don't know what to tell you. This is just life. And the unfortunate part about it, everybody's not meant to handle life. I may not even want to listen. I may not even want to come back. If given a choice, would you really come back to Earth? Right? If you were promised just, like Adam and Eve, right? If you were promised a garden, ninja, if you were just promised all fruits and land and the sun and blue skies, it was going to be blue skies for forever. You stayed in bliss, food, water, and resources were going to be provided for you. You get to stay in a golden castle, ninja. You get to have as many chicken heads, 304s as you want to, ninja. They running around naked. Boobs bouncing, ninja, like in a slow motion films, ninja. Would you come back, ninja? Would you realistically come back? I wouldn't, ninja. So I understand where a lot of people are at, and times are getting harder, man. Times are getting harder and harder, and Nobody's coming to save nobody. This is what is hard for so many people to wrap their minds around, because especially in America, we've benefited from a system for the last couple of decades that has always come to the rescue, right? We as Americans didn't realize how bad it can get. We as Americans didn't realize how diabolical the world actually is when you remove safety nets, right? We stayed under so many safety nets for so long, we forgot how it feels to free fall in the real world. And this is how much of the world is, right? Much of the world outside of America, much of the world outside of the Western world is a free fall, right? Not a complete free fall, but you got to get it how you live, right? There's poor people, right, making it all across the globe on a day-to-day basis, right? People have, listen, you have to find some way to enjoy this life that you're living, right? Well, and if that means quitting your job, shit, quit that mode. Then go find something. You still got to eat, you still got to drink. So but if that makes you, if you feel like your job, your career is dragging you down to the point where you're depressed, dragging you down to the point where you want to self-delete. If it's dragging you down to that point, maneuver, pivot. You don't have to deal with it, right? Everything in this life is a choice. You don't have to deal with it. You don't have to stay in that state of mind the whole time. You don't have to be dark and depressed the whole time. You can pivot into something more, beneficial for your mindset. You can pivot, right? But many people have been, pacified for too long. Many people don't know how to pivot, right? Many people, especially in the West, don't know how to handle stress, right? Don't know how to handle stress. Don't know how to handle, just the ups and downs of life. Especially with the younger generation, because we stay in such a instant gratification society, right? We want everything right now, right? You got to get the DoorDash right now. You have to get the Uber Eats right now. You got to get the Punani right now. You got to get the business right now. You got to have $1 million right now. Everything is about right now instead of building upon something, right? When you build an actual structure, right? When you build it from the ground up, right? When you lay down your bricks and not put up, that flimsy ass plywood, right? That brick structure is gonna last and through the test of time, right? That plywood, as soon as some bad weather come through, right? The big bad wolf is huffing and blowing that bitch down. That's what's happening. So now that the big bad wolf has come to America, Ninja, that's what's going on. The big bad wolf has come to America, and guess what? He's huffing and he's huffing and he's finna blow this shit down, right? You got to build a foundation, right? America has been built on flimsy foundation, right? So that means the individuals in America have also built their worldview. They've built the way that they do things. They built the way that they see things. They built everything from a flimsy standpoint, right? So much so when the wind blows, you go this way. When the wind blows that way, you go that way, right? And then when you're on the other side of the field, you're looking around, don't know where you at. You don't know what to do. You don't know who to turn to. You don't know how to start from scratch, right? But I do have to acknowledge that, we do stay in terrible times. Life is hard, man. For you, for me, right? For everybody around us. But you gotta decide what you want to do with this life, man. Right? You can sit back and easily and want to self-delete, and you can sit back and easily stay in those dark thoughts like you legion of incels, right? It's easy to do that. That's easy. Right? It's easy to do nothing. It's easy to sit back and cry, bitch, and moan. That's easy, right? The hard part is snapping yourself out of it. The hard part is, right, getting up and doing them 20 push-ups, right? The hard part is getting up and going to the gym 3 days a week, 4 days a week, right? That's the hard part, but nobody wants to do the hard part, right? We can't blame every single thing on mental health. I get it. Trust me, I get it. Listen, I've been there, right? I've been there. When I was in between jobs, uh, especially in the middle of the pandemic, right? Uh, Having to take my daughter out of daycare because I couldn't afford it, couldn't get the money fast enough, driving Uber, working in the warehouse, right? I was depressed, man. I was depressed because it was it was seeming like, dang, I just can't make enough money, right? Then it just felt like everything was burning around me. Everything, the house was on fire, the roof was on fire. I didn't know where. I didn't know what to do. But during those time periods, man, you won't know what to do. You won't. But guess what? You got to keep pushing. I kept pushing through that bitch. Some people just gonna get burned. They're gonna get burned down in the house, man. Some people are gonna go down with the home. They're gonna go down in the flames. That's just how life is. Some people get they roll on, and some people get rolled over. Right? We stay now in a time where, listen, it's big bank take little bank, little ninja. Right? You getting your roll on, or you getting rolled over, a little ninja. That's what's going on, right? And I don't wanna sound like I don't have any sympathy for you ninjas, but quite frankly, I don't when it comes to basically surviving, right? People survive on a day. People have survived worse times, right? I think it's because of social media. Social media has definitely played a huge toll on our mind states, for real. It played a huge toll because now we see everything so vividly. We see everything on a day-to-day basis. We see things because we don't just it's just not the legacy media anymore. Right now, you got individual. If you have a phone, if you have a camera, now you're individual media. Now you can log on social media. You can see what's going on in the next neighborhood. You can see what's going on here in this country, right? You can see what's not being reported on the legacy news. Then you got people with their own opinions. It's just a constant bombardment of information all day long, 24/7, and that weighs down on a person's mental, right? It weighs down on the person's mental, right? And not only that, rich people continue to get richer, ninja, right? Everybody keep getting poorer, right? What are you gonna do? That's the real question. What it really comes down to is, what are you gonna do? Taking yourself out. That's easy, man. That's easy. That's easy work. That don't take nothing. Right? That take a split second. Boom, ninja, you up out of here, ninja. But the hard part, right? The beauty of life, right? The beauty of life is to build even when you're stressed, build even when you're going through something, to push through the pain, right? That's the beauty of it all, right? Figuring it out. Yeah, you have powers that be and evil things at play and other things that are not in your control at play, but you can't control what's not you can't control what you can't control. You can't control what you can't control. You should only focus on what you can control. And you can control your everyday choices. You can control whether you're smoking a cigarette. You can control whether you doing push-ups or not. You can control whether you're going to the gym or not. You can control whether you're eating healthy or not. You can control how you want to start a business. You can control the way that you think. You can control your actions. You can control your choices. You can control which route and direction you want to go in life. You can control where you live at. You can control if you don't want to stay here anymore. You want to go to another country to get a better advantage. You can control all of these things. There's always what I've learned through struggling and clawing my way through everything, right? There's always a door. There's and I've experimented with this. Once you start going through hard times, once you start really, paying attention, right? When you go through hard times, you have to be aware. You can't just be sucked up into the frenzy of the ups and downs, because that's how life is, right? That's how the world is. That's how everything works on a biological level, on a atomic level. There's ups, downs. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. Left, right, up, down, right? Wind blows and then it doesn't. The sun sets and then the sun rises, right? Nothing ever stays the same. So with that being said, you have to understand, when you're going through hard times, when a storm is in your life right now, listen, you gotta know, you gotta be focused and understand, hey, this is just a moment in time, right? Those times never last forever, right? And once I started to become aware when I went through these hard times, I realized that there's always a door to go through in the midst of those storms. It's always a door. It's always a door. When I'm going through hard times, and you're going to go through hard times, there's no getting around it, right? When I'm going through hard times, I sit still. Right? I sit still and I pay attention. I think. That doesn't mean I'm not stressed. That doesn't mean I'm not angry. That doesn't mean I'm not sad. That doesn't mean, I don't have the regular human emotions. That doesn't mean that. I'm feeling all of those things. But you have to be aware enough to sit still. Okay, going through this. It's time to, because when I'm going through a storm, I know it's time to move. I know it's time to pivot for me, right? I know it's time to, I've been sitting too long, right? I can't sit longer than 1 or 2 years. Right, that's just me personally. I can't sit more than 1 or 2 years. That's just how my life is. That's what God has ordained for me. I can never sit still for 1 or 2 years. I have to move every 1 or 2 years. So about every 1 or 2 years, there's a storm, right? Especially until I get to where I need to be. About 1 or 2 years, there's a storm. I got to pivot. I got to move, right? I got to bounce out the pocket. I got to bounce back in the pocket, right? I got to throw to the slant. I got to throw to the right, right? Sometimes that pass may get intercepted, right? Okay, back to the drawing board. Okay, we 3rd and 10 right now. Boom, first down, right? And sometimes, look, you get sacked, right? Now you back to where you started. It happens, but you have to become aware enough to see what you're going through. You have to become aware enough to realize that, hey, hurricane season, right? Tornado season, right? It's drought season. Right? We're gonna sit still. We're gonna go through all the ups and downs right now, but we're gonna sit still. We're gonna go back to the drawing board, and we're gonna plan this thing out, and we're gonna be back on top. Right? That's just my mind state. That's the winner mind state in me. Right? But like I said, I feel for people who are not that, because you have people who are not that strong mentally. That's just a fact. Right? I feel for people like that, right? Who don't have the wherewithal, who don't have the willpower to fight through things. I feel for them, right? But the world don't feel for you. Nobody feels for you. Nobody's coming to save. God don't even feel for you, ninja. He ain't coming to save your weak ass either, right? And not trying to call people who struggle with mental, illnesses weak, right? But nobody's coming to save you, right? Yeah, life is gonna get harder and harder. Right? Life is going to get harder and harder, especially, when you're not used to a certain thing, especially in America, especially in the West. Yeah, shit is about to hit the fan. Right? But guess what? The storms don't last forever. It's gonna fly by. Then there's gonna be another thing. It's gonna fly by, then there's gonna be another thing. It's just a constant thing throughout history, man. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Right? Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video as well. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.